we are working on lesson 4-6. We're going to be working on number stories, but in particular, interpreting the remainder. So go ahead and write that at the top of your page. It's the title for this lesson. So we're going to work through 3 different problems, and as we get a remainder for each one of them, go ahead and write these 3 choices down. We're looking at either ignoring it, we're looking at the possibility of rounding up, or we're looking at the possibility of making it a fraction or a decimal. Okay, so I want you to think for a second and think of a story problem in which you would ignore the remainder. Okay, what kind of problem might you need to round it up? What kind of a problem might we need to divide that remainder equally? Okay, so we're going to work through 3 different problems. And for each one of these, I'd like for you to draw a graphical representation of each of the problems, because as we read through, it's important that we make sense of the problem first. Okay, so go ahead and read through that problem. And we're going to draw a graphical representation to model what's actually going on here. First thing when you do a story problem is you need to make sense of the problem. So we've got 100 minutes of computer time for 8 students equally to share. So as we see that, we know that we're going to be doing a division. So go ahead and draw along with me on your page. I could think about it this way. I've got 100 minutes total. And I'm going to represent that equally among 8 students. So each student, I'm trying to figure out how many minutes. So I'm going to choose the variable m to represent that. Now I've got 8 students, so 8 boxes. I'm going to put an m inside of each box. Okay? I want you to write a number sentence showing how the letter variable m here and other numbers in the problem are related. So you might think about this as 100 divided by m, or you might think of m times something is equal to 100. Go ahead and jot both of those down as we work through this together. Okay, so we are trying to go ahead and solve this number sentence. So I'm going to use a division algorithm. I'm going to go ahead and use partial products. I'm going to erase right here, but I pause if you still need some time to jot it down. Okay, so my number model then that I'm working off of is 100 divided by m will get me my answer there, my quotient. So I can do 100 divided by 8 students. I'm sorry, you can give me 8 or 100 divided by 8 is equal to the minutes right there. Either way, there it is. So I'm going to use the partial quotients. You may use the traditional algorithm if that's what you prefer. I know that 10 times 8 gets me 80. 20 left over. I know that 8 times 2 is 16 with 4. So right now my quotient is 10 plus 2, or a total of 12, with a remainder of 4 right there. So you need to ask yourself, are you going to ignore that? Are you going to round it up, or are you going to report it as a fraction or a decimal right there? Well, in this case, we had 100 minutes of computer time for 8 students to share equally. Each student can have 12 minutes of computer time, and then we've got 4 minutes left to share. So should the 4 be ignored? Well, no. In this case, students would want as much computer time as possible. Therefore, the remainder should be included as part of the answer. One way you can do this is change 4 minutes into 240 seconds, or 240 divided by 8 for 30 seconds per student. Another way is to divide the remainder among 8 students. The remainder is the reported fraction, so 4 out of 8, or we know that is 1/2, or I could write it as a decimal point 5. So either way, when I look at it, the remainder would be, I can do 12 and 4/8, 12 1/2, 12.5, they're all equivalent for the minutes per student. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you another one. I want you to solve it on your own first, making sure that you're drawing some sort of graphical representation as you are making sense of the problem. You will be checking your notebooks. So let's go ahead and take a look at this next one. Okay, so go ahead and read through the problem, draw a picture, and then interpret the remainder right there. Are you going to ignore it? Are you going to round it up? Or are you going to report it as a fraction or a decimal? So go ahead and pause right here and solve that problem. When you're ready, you can go ahead and unpause the video to check for understand, check your answer. Okay, so I hope that you paused and solved it and unpaused. As we check this answer, I'm going to make sense of the problem first. So a roller coaster holds 30 people. There are 252 people waiting for a ride. How many times will the roller coaster need to run so that all people get a ride? Okay, so I'm going to draw a representation here. We got 252 total people. And each ride holds 30 people. So how many 30s are in 52? Or I'm sorry, how many 30s are in 252? I know that I've got 30, 60. Okay, so I'm going to try and figure out how many R's are there when R is my ride. Okay, so my number model then to represent the problem would be 252 divided by 30 to figure out my number of rides right there. So 252 divided by 30. Okay, so as I make sense of that problem, I'm going to go ahead and do a division algorithm. So I've got 252 divided by 30 that will fit in each ride to get my total number of rides. Well, I know 3 times 5 is 15, so 30 times 5 will get me 150. Three times 3 will get me 9, so 3 times 30 will get me 90. And I cannot divide 12 into 30 equal places anymore. So my quotient then is 8. So I add that up. And then I've got 12 as my remainder. Okay, so what does the quotient 8 and 12, remainder 12 mean? Well, students should expect that we got 8 runs right there. And that's 240 people. We need 252 people that could ride. So that leaves our 12 people left over. The ride will need to run then 9 times in order for this everybody to get a ride, because we can't just squish those extra 12 people into it. We aren't going to split body parts up either. So in this case, we would round up. And so we would need 9 total rides. Okay, we'll do one more. Go ahead and read through that problem. Draw a picture to represent that problem. And then go ahead and solve it, interpreting the remainder. Are you going to round up, ignore it, or interpret it as a fraction or a decimal? Go ahead and pause right here and solve that problem. And when you are ready, you can unpause the video and check for understanding there. So it costs it costs $3 to rent a video. Bonita has $14. So how many videos can she rent? Well, on this one, we've got a video is equal to $3. So I might just do counting by 3 as I count without busting here, without going over 14, because I only have $14. So I have 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so I know then that I can go ahead and only get 4 videos right there. So if I were to do this with a division algorithm, 14 divided by 3, 3 times 4 gets me 12. I get a remainder of 2. So as I think about, what does that 2 mean? Well, I've got $2 left over with this remainder. You can get 4 total videos, and I've got $2 left over. Well, in this case, I can't buy an additional video with $2. The store's probably not going to sell me half a video, so in this case, I'm going to ignore my remainder. And I go with my quotient of 4 total videos right here. Okay, thanks friends. Make sure to go ahead and follow the directions on the rest of the screen, and I will see you guys soon.